If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake, baked a cake, baked a cake. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. How'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do? Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band, grand band in the land. Had you dropped me a letter, I'd have hired a band and spread the welcome mat for you. Oh, I don't know where you came from, 'cause I don't know where you've been, but it really doesn't matter. Grab a chair and fill your platter and dig, dig, dig right in. If I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake, hired a band. Goodness sake, if I knew you were coming, I'd have baked a cake. How'd you do, how'd you do, how'd you do?
Well, hi there. Welcome to Homemade. I'm your host, Courtney Hill, author of Homemade, the American Family Cookbook. I'm a wife, a mother, and a city girl turned homesteader, and I'm excited to share the day with you. In today's show, I'm going to teach you how to bake the perfect cherry pie, how to sew a sawtooth star quilt block, how to get your garden ready for spring and transplant some seedlings, and how to cook a complete homemade fried chicken dinner. In this first segment, I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect cherry pie. We're going to have that as our dessert tonight. The recipe for this can be found in the cookbook. Now, pies can seem a little intimidating, but when you learn all the steps, you'll realize they really are as easy as pie. All right, let's start with the crust. This is a classic 2-crust pie recipe. I have 2 cups of flour here, and for my fat, I'm going to use vegetable shortening. You could use lard or butter, whichever you prefer. That is 2/3 cup and 2 tablespoons, and I have 1 teaspoon of salt. That's really it. Now we want to mix it all together, and you can use a pastry blender, or if you don't have that, a fork works just fine. And what we're going to do is get the flour all around the little fat molecules. We're going to break that up to about pea-sized little pieces. And that is what creates your flaky pie crust, because all those fat pieces are surrounded by flour, and then when they melt in the oven, they make this really nice flaky pie crust. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we want to take really cold water, add about a tablespoon at a time, and mix that in. I usually start with about 5 tablespoons, and then sometimes I have to add more, just depending on the moisture in the air, lots of things. So let's mix this together, and you just want to add enough water until it starts forming into a ball. If you don't use cold water, the fat starts to melt and it just becomes a big old mess. So make sure you're using cold water. All right, that looks pretty good. Now we're going to form it into a ball. Lightly, you do not want to overwork your pie crust. And then to really incorporate it, we're going to spank the dough. That's what my mom always told me to do. You don't want to knead it because that would overwork the dough and then it would be tough. So just give it a little spank, kind of makes a mess. And there you have it, perfectly formed dough. I'm going to divide it into 2 for our top crust and bottom crust. Next, we're going to make the filling. Tart cherry pie is my favorite pie, and that starts with tart cherries. My son and I went and picked these this summer, and I pitted them all and froze them instead of canning them, because freezing them, you get to keep the nice bright color, and I like to have a bright cherry pie without the food dye. We're going to add about 2 to 3 cups, depending on the size of your pie. And I went ahead and thawed these. You want them to be fully thawed before you bake them. I have a cup of sugar here, and these are tart cherries. So if you like your pie really sweet, you can add a little more sugar, that's fine. About 1/3 cup of flour. We're going to stir that a little bit. Get the flour and the sugar all into those cherry juices. And then I'm gonna add my secret ingredient, which is about a ½ teaspoon of almond extract. Almond and cherry are one of the greatest pairings in history, in my opinion. It just brings out a wonderful flavor in the cherries, and people will be like, why is your cherry pie so good? And you'll say, it's my little secret. Okay, get that all stirred in. And next we're going to roll out and assemble our pie. We're going to sprinkle some flour on our surface and take one of the dough balls. I'm going to use quite a bit of flour for this, just so it doesn't stick. Take my rolling pin. You want to roll it out enough to fit inside the pie plate. So I need to do a little bit more. Let's get some more flour under there so it doesn't stick. We're going to be nice and thin so it cooks evenly underneath the filling. Let's see. That looks pretty good. Yeah. All right. Pro tip, use the rolling pin to transfer your crust. Ooh. Okay, set it down in there. And we're going to use a knife to cut off the extra. Set that aside for something later. We're going to pour in our cherries. All that. Get it nice and even. We're going to dot the top of it with butter. Beautiful. Now let's roll out the top crust, same process. Pies are super impressive, and they're actually, you'll see, very easy to make. So after this, you'll be able to go impress some people. Okay, now this one we need to be able to wrap under, so it's got to be a couple inches hanging over the pie plate. I'm going to use this fancy little cutter that I have. You can get these online. Thrift stores are a great place to find these. Of course, you can always just use a knife to cut a shape as well, but this is really fun and adds a little element of extra. Okay, same trick. Try not to stretch it out, and gently lay it over the top. Do any adjustments that you might need. Now we want to trim the crust about 2 inches out because we're going to fold it under. So put your fingers underneath and trim around. Do you see how the dough is kind of stretchy? That is perfect. Perfect texture for your pie. Okay, now we're going to take the top crust and the bottom crust, kind of marry them together. Take the top crust underneath, and this is bringing the two crusts together. Do that all the way around. Now we're going to make our pie crust edge look really pretty. We're going to take our thumbs and our forefingers and just push like this all the way around. A little fluted edge here. It also helps seal the two crusts together. And it makes it really beautiful. Look at that. Okay, last step. Brush with a little milk on the crust. And sprinkle with a little sugar. This creates a really nice crunch on the outside of your pie and makes the crust nice and golden brown. Okay, we're gonna bake this for about 35 minutes with a crust cover. Then you're gonna take the crust cover off and bake about another 10 to 15 minutes. Now we're gonna make a special treat with the leftover dough, cinnamon sugar pie crust. My mom always used to make this for us that we can enjoy while we were waiting for the pie to bake and cool. Same process as before. Put some flour down, take your leftover dough, and roll it out as thin as you can. The thinner you roll it, the faster it bakes. Transfer it to our pan. Now we're gonna take some butter and spread that on, and that's what makes the cinnamon sugar stick. This is something that I also do for my kids. So I'm passing it on to the next generation. All right, sprinkle that with some sugar. Good, generous amount all the way to the edges. And top with a little cinnamon. We're gonna let that bake for about 10 minutes. After you pull it out of the oven, just use a pizza slicer, cut it into pieces. Let's try it. So good. Tastes like memories. All right, the timer just went off, so we're gonna remove the crust cover. Oh my goodness, look at that. And bake it for about another 15 minutes. Pull it out of the oven. Oh, and listen to that. Perfect. Now we let it cool. Good morning. Come on. Let's do a sewing project. I am super excited for America's 250th birthday this year, so I've decided to do a commemorative quilt. Quilting has been a part of America's history from the beginning, so I think it's a perfect tribute. And I also come from a quilting family. My mom is a big quilter, and so is my grandma on my dad's side. I've decided to do the sawtooth star block for this quilt because it's a classic quilt block and I think it will fit in nicely with the theme. And I got this awesome t-shirt that I'm going to put in the center of the quilt. To make the sawtooth star pattern, you need two different fabrics, and I have a variety here, so all my blocks are going to be different, but I have the white background and then the color in the middle. You're going to cut a 3.5-inch square for the center, and then for the sawtooths, you need 8 2x2 squares of the matching fabric. You need 2x2s of your basic white fabric on the outside, and 2 by 3.5 rectangles for the inner part of the sawtooth. On the 2x2 colored squares, I've marked the diagonal because that's where I'm going to sew. And I used my sewing marker and a straight edge just to go from corner to corner. You don't have to do this, but it helps. All right, let's get started on some sewing. Anytime you're sewing, you want to do right sides together. So I have my pretty side and I'm going to put that down, and then the white is the same on both sides, so it doesn't really matter. Matching up all of my edges. Now I'm going to lower the presser foot and sew on the line that I drew. And trim our threads. We want to keep it clean. And that's the first part of our sawtooth star. I'm going to take my straight edge again, and I'm going to trim it. I have the seam here, and I want to put my straight edge 1/4 of an inch away from that seam. That is called a seam allowance. And I'm going to trim that. And then when we go to the ironing board, we're going to iron this down nice and flat like that. And with quilting, you don't have to backstitch because it's all going to get sewn in somewhere else. You know, this block will get sewn to this block. So that's why you don't see me backstitching. All right. Let's go to the ironing board. All right, now we are going to press these seams open and move on to the next step. These are nice and pressed now, and we're going to do the other side of the sawtooth. So I'm going to take another one of my squares and put it on, and we're going to sew from this side to this side now. Trim our threads again. Okay, same thing. We're going to use our straight edge and our rotary cutter to cut the corner. Well, hi! You can join us? And we'll press it again like that, and you have one of your sawtooths. So we'll do this again 4 times. All right, we're going to make the body part of the block now. So you're going to take your 3.5 by 3.5 inch square and 2 of your nice sawtooth points. We're going to sew right across the edge here. Oh, and I forgot to mention, in quilting, you want to use that 1/4 inch seam allowance throughout the whole project. That way everything lines up really nicely. And what's great about most machines is that the distance from the foot and this first line is typically a 1/4 inch. So as long as you just keep it with that, you will be fine. But a quilt is like a puzzle. So if all of your puzzle pieces are different sizes at the end, it's not going to go together very well. Now you can see this piece is a little messed up there because fabric is an imperfect medium and it stretches. But that's okay because I can make it up in the seam allowance. So instead of following the fabric, I'm going to follow a straight line on the seam allowance, and that'll fix that right up. All right, now if we did it correctly, the star points should line up perfectly. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, now we're gonna do the two sides. So we'll take one of our remaining sawtooths and we'll do a white on this side and a white on this side. I'll do a white on this side. And we'll do that one more time for the other side, and then we're gonna press it all again. Okay, now that we have these nice and pressed, we're gonna sew them together like this, and then we'll end up with a nice block. So we're gonna take one of our sawtooths, have it matched up like this, and we're going to nest the seams. So we have this seam is going that direction, this seam is going that direction, and you just match them up and pin it. And that's how you get really straight lines with your quilt blocks. We're gonna do it again on the other side. Pin, pin. And we're gonna sew it like this. So again, I have right sides together. It's pinned, let's sew. My dad's sister is who actually got the family into quilting. So when my mom married in, they taught her, and now she's a big quilter. Every Thanksgiving, we would do a Thanksgiving quilt, and so throughout the year, everyone would make a quilt block, and then when we'd come together at Thanksgiving, we'd sew it together and have a different quilt for each year. It was really fun. Okay, trim our threads, pull out the pins. Now let's see. Oh, look, we did pretty good. Just a little bit off, but no, I think that looks really good. All right, let's do the other side now. Nesting those seams and pin. One more sew. Now that it's sewn together, let's go press it flat. Marcy's back. All right, so we have our final block all nice and pressed, but as you can tell, the edges are a little uneven. So I would take my rotary cutter and my straight edge and just square those up. We want all the blocks to be as close to the same size as we can get. Another thing to note, you notice that my pattern here is kind of going all different directions. And if you're very particular about that, just take your time lining everything up before you sew it, and then it will run in the same direction. This will be an ongoing project, so make sure to check back on future shows to see the finished quilt. I love having a vegetable garden. It's amazing to grow something yourself, and the taste of homegrown produce is unlike anything you've ever had. Everyone can grow something. Even before we had the Hillstead, I grew tomatoes in pots on our back porch. During the fall, I took some hay from the chicken coop and put it in a pile to kind of compost down over winter, and I've spread that in my beds here. This is just getting them ready for spring when I'm ready to plant. I also have some compost that I'm going to put over the hay. I'm in garden zone 6 where I live, which means I typically plant around Mother's Day. But I have started some seeds in my greenhouse. I started these about a month ago, and now some of them need to be transplanted into bigger pots. It's really a simple process. I have a little soil in the bottom of my pot here, and I gently want to pull out on the plant, as you can see all the roots there, and then just top it with some more soil. I made these super cute labels so that I can tell which plant is which. And then just give it a little water. And then it's ready to go back in the greenhouse until I'm ready to plant in my garden. I'm going to teach you how to cook one of my favorite recipes, finger-licking fried chicken, with all the sides. Most of these recipes are in my cookbook. It's based on a meal from one of my favorite childhood restaurants, Chicken Mary's. They do bone-in deep fried chicken, which is delicious, but it takes a long time and you don't get gravy. So I like to do pan-fried chicken breast nuggets like my grandma Lois used to do. At the restaurant, you could get chicken and 3 sides, and I would usually get German coleslaw, German potato salad, and applesauce. My husband really likes green beans, so I added that to this recipe too. Let's get started. I usually like to start with the coleslaw and the potato salad because they need to marinate for a few hours before you eat them. So I just take some cabbage, and I'm going to do about half a head because that's about how much my family eats. Now I'm going to slice the cabbage, give it a little chop, and put it in my food processor. That's pretty good. You don't want it too fine. Because then it just turns to mush, but I think that's pretty good. I'm gonna make one dressing, and that goes for both the potato salad and the coleslaw. The potato salad isn't actually in the cookbook, but since it's the same dressing, you just put it on potatoes instead of the cabbage. I have a can of potatoes here, and I like to use those because they're already cooked, they're soft, and a lot of times I'm in a hurry, and so it just makes it go faster. So I'm just gonna slice up these potatoes, about like that. Let's get to the dressing. I'm going to double what's in the cookbook. So I have a half a cup of white vinegar, 3/4 cup of, I'm using avocado oil, a half a teaspoon of pepper, 2 teaspoons of salt, and just a little bit of garlic powder. I'm not a huge garlic fan, but it does add a little bit to this recipe. Gonna put the lid on and just shake it up. Pour half of it on your cabbage, the other half on the potatoes. And with potatoes, I like to add a little bit of dried onion. It just adds that nice onion flavor without being overpowering like a fresh onion would. I'm gonna add that in there. Give it a stir, and then just pop it in the fridge until you're ready to eat. Oh, that reminds me, it's time to go collect the eggs from the day. We're out at the coop collecting our eggs from the day, and oh, there's a lot. In the winter, when the days are shorter, they don't lay as many, but now that the days are longer, we're starting to get a lot more eggs. Oh, and And look, we got some new hens in the fall and they're just now starting to lay. Do you see how much smaller it is than the regular size egg? They'll end up being like this, but they start out real cute like this. These are my famous country style green beans. We're gonna start with a red onion. We're gonna dice that up. Got the outside. Oh, I don't know, maybe like a couple tablespoons. Give those a nice fine chop. We're gonna go ahead and add those to our pot. And you can use frozen, fresh, or canned green beans. These are ones that I canned last summer, so we're gonna use those. Oh, do you hear that? Those sealed nicely. Okay, we're gonna pour those in. An important Midwest kitchen rule is to never get rid of bacon grease. I always store it in a jar in the fridge to use in recipes just like this. It adds great flavor. So a couple tablespoons of bacon grease. And then some bacon bits. You could use fresh bacon if you wanted, but I usually have this on hand, so it's nice. And some salt. Super simple, super delicious. We're just gonna heat those through and they'll be good to go. Okay, I'm gonna turn the stove on. Let those get hot, the bacon grease to melt all in there, and I'll let them simmer while I'm cooking the chicken. It's dinner time, so let's fry some chicken. I'm gonna set up my dredging stations first. I have one with milk. This one's gonna have flour, some seasoned salt, and my extra special ingredient that isn't even in the cookbook, smashed up cracker crumbs. Adds a really nice flavor and just an extra crunch. So let's add those in. And we're gonna mix that all up. It already smells so good. Okay, over here I have about an inch of oil in my pan that's heating up. And a way to tell that if the oil's ready is to sprinkle a little flour in there and it will bubble up. And it's not quite ready yet, but it's okay because we need to cut our chicken. So here I have a chicken breast and it's kind of thick. And so that won't cook as evenly in the oil, so we're gonna butterfly our breast first, which means we're gonna cut it in half this way. And then the pieces are more uniform and thin and they cook faster in the oil. So now we're gonna cut them into bite-sized chunks. Okay, let's check our oil again. Yeah, that's ready. Okay, we're going to dip it in the milk first, then in the flour and cracker crumbs, and then we're gonna do a second dip, a little double dip. That gives it more of a crunch, more of a little outer shell there, and then straight into the oil. And I'm gonna do that with the remaining pieces. Careful not to get your fingers in the oil. Who doesn't love a good fried chicken? And if you need to do this in shifts, you can. Don't overcrowd your pan because it won't brown as well. I can probably fit a couple more pieces in here. Let's try one more. We're just gonna let that fry until you can start to see a little bit of crispiness on the edge, and then we'll turn them. Okay, these have been frying for a little while and we're ready to turn them. They shouldn't stick to the bottom if you've left them alone. Oh, those are looking really nice, golden brown. All right, they're ready to come out. Oh my goodness. These look so delicious. I cannot wait. Perfectly golden brown. Now we're gonna make the most important part, the gravy. This is your basic white gravy, and I'm using a little bit of chicken bouillon to boost up the chicken flavor. So we wanna get rid of most of the extra oil. Be very careful, this is hot. We want to leave a little in there with all those nice pan drippings. And we're going to add about a tablespoon of flour. And we're going to let that cook just a little bit. We're forming kind of a roux here. And that's what will thicken up our gravy. Okay, I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit. Let that bubble. I have about a cup of milk here, so we're gonna add that. And then about a teaspoon of chicken bouillon. Whisk that around. Get all the good fried bits off the bottom there. And we're gonna let that boil a little bit until it thickens, but you do not wanna scorch the milk, so it can't be too hot. So just keep an eye on it. As soon as it starts to steam and thicken a little bit, then you're good. Oh, it's already starting to thicken. Got some bubbles going on. Oh, it's perfect. Okay, there you go. Delicious white gravy. And there you have it. Looks like a really good dinner. Oh, we almost forgot the best part. My homemade applesauce. It adds a nice little sweetness to this wonderful dinner. Dinner's ready. Don't forget dessert. Oh, I can't wait. Look at that. Delicious. What a great day it's been. Most evenings, you'll find me here by the fire, savoring another day of God's amazing blessings. I hope you had as much fun today as I did. Join me next time, and remember, it's better when it's homemade. Let these get nice and hot and that bacon grease melt off. What's wrong with my voice? And now we're gonna do the other side of the sawtooth. Is that good? Huh? Okay, do you wanna try it again? It's fine. Is that better? Now we're going to do something fun with the leftover pie crust.